Hey, Nick Peterson here. Tinkering with my lights. So I'm going to tell you, I just got off a call with one of our R3 graduates, and we just kind of jammed on some of the takeaways. And here is, I'm going to give you one of the biggest factors as to whether or not your new idea, offer, innovation, business spreads and scales, right? Whether or not people buy it, use it, refer to it, tell their friends about it, and buy it again. And that is the amount of reinvention that you allow. Okay, so a lot of times we create a widget or we create a new thing, and we say, hey, people are going to use this particular way. And then we try to shove that down their throat, and we don't allow our market, our early adopters, to reinvent what it is. Right now, I'll give you an example. Somewhere, right? Somebody said, hey, I got this medication. It's going to lower your blood pressure, right? And they try to sell it that way. And the reinvention is when somebody said, hey, you know what? This will actually give a bunch of old men wood for hours and hours and hours, right? That's the reinvention. And had that reinvention not been allowed to happen, if they would have said, no, this is a blood pressure medication only, then we would not have Viagra and all of the other things, all the other ED medicine, right? That's reinvention. So if you have a new idea, you have a new offer, you have a new way to do things, it's really important that when you take on your first clients, your beta testers, your initial users, don't tell them how to use it. Make it easy for them to use. You could tell them how you recommend they use it, but the degree in which it scales and it spreads depends largely on how much you let the initial adopters reinvent the way they talk about it, the way they use it, right? The way that they implement it into their lives. Right? It's really, really important that we don't say, okay, this is a thing, this is how you use it, and you shove it down everybody's throat. Instead, here's a thing, here's a cool use for it, and then step back and observe and see. Like, you're going to see a lot of things where you're like, wow, I never thought people would use it that way, but they do. And it would be wise to kind of mold the product and the offer in the marketing and the sales to match the way that the initial adopters reinvent your offer, your idea, your product, right? So there's a direct correlation in what is called diffusion of innovations, the study of how ideas spread. There's a direct correlation with to how much you allow reinvention. And it's really, really important. So a doctor, for example, may say, hey, boil your water because there's microbes in there and you're going to die if you don't. But if a tribe, right, in a third world country doesn't understand what microbes are, we have to reinvent that message to align with their beliefs. Now, if the medical professional does not allow for that reinvention, they will not adopt the idea, right? They can't adopt something if they don't understand the components of the idea. So if you want your ideas to spread, stop trying to figure out what it is, right? Just deliver it and let your market tell you what it is. Let your market tell you how they want to use it. Let your market develop a language, okay? Really, really important. It's called reinvention. It's part of the R3 class. I teach it in the marketing and the sales component in the R3 class. And that's why I'm not a huge fan of elevator pitches for things that have not had an opportunity to be reinvented. I'm not a huge fan of sales pitches, elevator pitches, webinars, things like that, if the idea has not been reinvented by early adopters. So think about that, right? Get feedback. You have to decide, do you want your idea to spread, or do you want it to be used exactly the way that you intended for it to be used? Because those may be conflicting goals, right? Reinvention, I teach it in the R3 class. It's one of the most powerful things that you can understand. It's one of the most powerful things that I actively do is I allow people to reinvent my ideas to match their beliefs, to be compatible with their life, to be easier to use and less complex so that they can use it and spread the ideas. Cool. It's reinvention. Allow it to happen. It's a very, very good thing.